What the study says.
Walk past any row of treadmills right now, and I guarantee half the people there will tell you they're doing zone 2 cardio.
Oh yeah, it is totally the ultimate gym flex right now.
Right. But if you actually ask them to explain what that means, suddenly everyone is, tying their shoes or checking their phones.
Welcome back to What the Study Says. I'm Dr. Kai.
And I'm Dr. May. And today we are cutting through all that social media fluff. We're doing a deep dive into a brand new consensus from 14 professional sports scientists.
Yeah, they finally sat down to answer what Zone 2 actually is, how you train it without fooling yourself, and, well, why you should even care.
Exactly. So to understand the hype, we really have to look under the hood. What is the actual biological state here?
Well, the experts agree that it sits just below your first lactate or ventilatory threshold.
Okay, but in plain English, that is basically the point right before you start breathing heavily to clear carbon dioxide, right?
Spot on. And if you were to prick your finger, you'd be looking for lactate, which is just a byproduct your muscles make when they burn fuel.
Wait, so in zone 2, your body is clearing that lactate out just as fast as it makes it?
Yeah, exactly. It keeps the level incredibly low, around maybe 1 to 2 millimoles per liter. It's basically the physiological equivalent of a perfectly balanced checkbook.
Oh, wow, I like that. And your heart rate is sitting around, 70 to 80% of its max?
Right, so you are definitely working, but you haven't crossed that line where acid builds up and your muscles start burning.
So it's kind of like finding your body's ultimate fuel-efficient cruising gear. Your perceived exertion is just the 2 or 3 out of 10.
Yeah, you can still comfortably hold a conversation with your running buddy.
But the second you have to gasp for air mid-sentence, you've blown past the threshold and shifted gears entirely.
Exactly. That conversational pace is basically your built-in alarm system.
Yeah.
But, maintaining that precise physiological state without overdoing it requires a specific strategy.
Oh, I bet. So how do we actually do this?
Well, consensus highlights 3 main ways. The gold standard is continuous long rides, ideally stretching over 2 hours.
2 hours. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. Or you can do variable sessions, mixing zone 2 with even lighter, effortless zone 1 recovery. Yeah. Or you can just use it as active recovery between really intense intervals.
Okay, wait. Practically speaking, this drives me crazy. If you're listening and you're anything like me, you know this exact scenario.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Right. You are an hour into a run, you're getting tired, and your heart rate starts creeping up, but your pace is exactly the same.
Yep, classic cardiac drift.
Exactly. And my ego naturally tells me to stubbornly maintain my speed. So are you saying I have to slow down to a literal crawl just to protect this zone 2 state?
Yes, you really have to swallow your pride here. This is where, most people get it completely wrong.
So you just have to give up on your pace?
You do. The consensus lays out a critical rule. You must prioritize internal metrics, meaning your heart rate and how hard it feels, over external load like your speed or your power output on a bike.
Because as you fatigue, your heart has to work harder to maintain that same pace.
Right, and if you don't slow down when that heart rate drifts up, you are no longer in zone 2. You're just doing junk miles and missing the biological adaptations.
You're missing the microscopic changes you're actually trying to trigger. Which brings me to my next point. If you're listening and thinking, I barely have 45 minutes to work out, let alone 2 hours to ride a bike at a snail's pace.
Right. Why would anyone subject themselves to moving that slowly for that long?
Exactly. What is actually happening in the body to make this huge time commitment worth it for the everyday person?
Well, going slow forces your body to adapt in ways that going fast simply cannot. With high-intensity work, your muscles flood with lactic acid and rely on fast-burning sugars.
But in zone 2, the intensity is so manageable that your body has to rely on oxygen and fat for energy instead.
Exactly. And that continuous steady demand for oxygen sends a massive signal to your type 1 muscle fibers, the endurance fibers.
To build more supply lines and power plants? So instead of the old highway and engine comparison, it's more like upgrading a city's power grid.
Yeah, that's a great way to picture it.
You're sprouting new capillaries, literally building a wider physiological highway to deliver oxygen, while simultaneously upgrading your cellular engine, the mitochondria.
Precisely. It fundamentally changes your metabolic efficiency from the inside out. But there's actually a surprising side effect the panel noted, too.
Oh, really? What kind of side effect?
So surviving those long, monotonous 2-hour sessions doesn't just build muscle endurance, it actually builds cognitive resilience.
Oh, wow, cognitive resilience. Because it takes so much mental stamina just to sit in the boredom and maintain a steady state.
Exactly. You're forcing your brain to tolerate a lack of stimulation.
Which completely shifts how we should look at this. It's not a magic on and off switch for immediate fitness. It is a foundational steady state continuum.
Right. It alters how your metabolic machinery manages energy over time. It trains you to be efficient physically and mentally.
That is fascinating. And it brings up a really provocative thought for you to ponder today.
Yeah, this is the really interesting part.
If enduring the sheer monotony of Zone 2 training specifically builds cognitive resilience, could scheduling these slow, low-intensity sessions be a secret weapon for managing the mental fatigue and stress of our modern daily lives?
I mean, building a physical steady state might be exactly what we need to balance out a totally chaotic world.
Definitely something to chew on next time you're tempted to speed up on the treadmill just to show off for the person next to you.
Oh, 100%.
Well, please don't forget to subscribe and share the channel, What the Study Says. Keep cruising, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.